Alright, let me try some. Now, normally I jump straight to a guide, and I just want to double check some things. Mosky visit the Rokushiki hospital. 15, okay. I want to get to the point where we go searching for, where after Rokushiki does what he does, right? After he breaks out anyway. I want to go to that point, and then when we're like searching for places to investigate, I want to see what happens if we go to the Rokushiki residence. Just out of pure curiosity. Choose a place to investigate. Alright. So this is what I was looking for. Rokushiki residence. I just want to see what happens if we go here next. See how that changes things. Ozumi and I drove over to the Rokushiki residence in Mitaka. Ozumi raised an eyebrow as he got out of his squad car.
Yeah. Rokushikiは朽木病理学研究所で働いていたから関わりはある。お前がそう考えるってことは、こっちに警官は配備されていないんだろう。
付近の派出所に巡回を密にするよう伝えておく。
Yeah, asked the local station to keep an eye on it in secret. I knocked on the door. Chizoda answered it a minute later.
どうも、朽木さん。おかわりありませんか？
おかげさまで。何かありましたか
？Chizoda cocked her head.
この辺りに凶悪犯が潜伏している可能性がありますので。
Ozumi answered in my stead.
凶悪犯ですか。恐ろしいですね。
ええ。ですから戸締まりを忘れずに。
Okay,
不審者などを見かけた際には、
So I'm curious how that will change
派出所に
things.
通報をお願いします。
Because yeah, now Ozumi said, yeah, no, we'll set up a local squad to keep an eye on the place in secret. So now they should see him coming, right?
わかりました。
Chizoda
フミ
nodded.
ヤさんはどちらに？
兄でしたら病院ですよ。最近は忙しいようで。
Chizoda heaved a sigh.
お夕飯を用意しても帰ってくる頃には冷めてしまうんです。
Sorry, but I really don't have time to chat today.
では我々はまだ仕事がありますので。
Ozumi stepped in as though he'd sensed my awkward dilemma.
お構いもできず申し訳ありませんでした。
Chizoda gave us a full bow and bade us farewell.
ありゃ、随分と参っているようだな。
Ozumi made that comment once we were back by the car.
いろいろとあったからな。
Very true. I determined it best not to mention Toko around her. Not just because it would hurt her, but because I was afraid it'd hurt me as well.
よし、次に行くぞ。
Ozumi got into the driver's seat.
そうだな。
There's still other places I could think where we might find the Rokushiki after all. Okay, and then they go to the museum. So they end up going to the museum regardless. Same thing happens. But Ozumi set up the patrol. What do you mean? Ozumi set up the patrol. That means no one should be able to get in close. Alright. Alright. So y'all know what that means. It's guide time. So yeah, I'm gonna pull up our little guide here. We're gonna get where we need to go. And then, shit, hit the mic. And then, yeah, I'll pick up when there's something new to look at. Okay, so I'm looking at the guide here right now before I jump into the actual going through it. And it looks like the answer is to, like, you know how I said, like, with Mosky's choices, like, typically you want to lock into one location and that will usually turn out where is usually the answer. You want to lock into a specific location. Turns out for Mosky, the location you want to keep going to is Kichijoji Station. I kept going to the hospital because, you know, Michiru, Kaede, love seeing all them. Turns out the correct answer is to go to Kichijoji Station. Alright, February 11th. Time to go to Kichijoji Station. Mosky passed by Kichijoji Station and went over to Moonworld. This tiny little shopping district had been a black market following the war, so it was said outcast still lurked in its dark alleyways. As such, Masuki believed Kyoko might have seen something, yet he also realized that Reiji had very likely thought the same and already gone straight to her. Still, he couldn't bring himself to turn back. Worst came to worst, he could at least get a cup of coffee out of the trip. Yeah, who doesn't like hanging out with
いらっしゃい
Kyoko
ませ
anyway?
あら珍しいお客さん
Good to see you too.
どうも。
Masuki bowed and moved to take a seat at the counter before suddenly noticing someone else was already there.
はーい
Oh. Are we gonna build up a little some between Masuki and Huyumi? Are they gonna reignite their feelings for each other? Cause that'd be kinda dope.
茅原さん。
何よその他人行儀な呼び方は
Uyumi Kayahara made a show of rolling her eyes. She strutted over to Masuki and took a seat next to him.
どうも。
Masuki had known her for a very long time. However, he'd only recently been made aware of that fact. As such, he found talking to her a much more complicated affair than it needed to be. Though somehow Huyumi herself didn't appear to share the same reservations.
はずきちゃんこの人にコーヒーお願いそれでいいんでしょ
あ、はい。
かしこまりました
Kyoko nodded and turned around.
お仕事は順調
それなりにやっているつもりだけど。
そっか途中経過がわからない仕事みたいだものね
まあそうだね。相手がナオちゃんだから余計にね。
Uyumi was one of the few in the know about Naori and the missing baby.
ナオリさんならナナコさんの頼みを途中で投げ出したりしないと思うわ
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
自分もそう信じているよ。
Masuki knew how ridiculous that sounded. Many would question his sanity for having faith in a fugitive. However, this was his friend they were talking about. Besides, when it came to crimes, Masuki's were far worse. Man, I don't know about that for certain. Like, yeah, you killed that one girl at the shrine. That's about it. Like, I mean, yeah, you were in the war, right? And I'm sure war, you did some, fucked up stuff, sure, but I don't know, as far as like actual crimes go, like, I don't know, man. I feel like nobody might have you beat, honestly.
はいどうぞ
Well, I guess now, as far as we know, anyway, excuse me, Naori's only killed one person. It was, he killed a serial killer. Well, I mean, the whole adage, like, oh, if you kill a killer, the amount of killers in the world stays the same, blah, blah, blah. But even so, it's like, probably someone a bit more, well, okay. But then again, the person that Masuki killed was no saint herself. Did she ever kill, or did she just do the weird stuff with the limbs? She might not have been the one who actually killed, but she definitely instructed others to do so, right? Because we saw that with Satsuki. There we go. We saw that with Satsuki's flashbacks, how like she was forced to like do that, right? And she was forced to learn how to do that, whatnot. So yeah, what's her face? She was no saint either, but I don't know. Masuki sounds like his is so much worse. Honestly, I feel like they're kind of on even ground. I think the only thing that Masuki has going for him is that, like, yeah, he served in the war. Because other than that, like, yeah, no, that much different. Like, Masuki never kidnapped anyone, right? Just throwing that out there.
どうも。
Masuki gulped down the piping hot liquid.
そういや、ミチルを引き取ることにしたそうだね。
ええまだ裁判所の判断が下されていないから親権は白崎家にあるけれどね
Masuki had no clue why Huyumi was going to such lengths for Michiru. Reiji seemed to have an inkling, but he said nothing of the matter. Which meant he didn't feel it was worth sharing with his assistant if the man himself had to guess.
ユキコもミチルも私の大切な娘だから
That's where they go. Huyumi sighed.
まあ二人いれば若葉園の人手不足が解消されるからね
However, she just quickly pulled herself together and laughed.
ねえ葉月ちゃん何かつまむものある
Sponge cake?
私のお菓子でよければ
Oh, ma'am, I will eat your pastries all day long. Also your snacks. Kyoko checked under the counter for a moment, then served up some Nambu rice crackers.
ありがとう はい、どうぞ。
Luby broke off a piece of cracker and practically stuffed it into Masaki's mouth. Man, I am so upset at myself for missing this scene. Genuinely. This is such a sweet scene between the two. Like, yeah, like we've seen interactions with them, you know, in other points of the story, but like at this point, before anything like bad has gone on, before like the Exile of Paradise stuff starts, like this stuff's just sweet. This is just so nice. Downright enjoyable.
コンペイトーじゃなくてごめんなさいね。
Yeah, too bad it's not the sugar candy, eh?
いや別に
She's toying with me, isn't she? Yeah, and you love it. That was nice. I love that. I hope we get more. I hope we get more Fuyumi moments. All right, February 20th. It's at Kichijoji Station again. Masuki took the Chuo line over to Kichijoji. There are plenty of people around. Many were students, so it'd be easy to pick Naori out if he were among them. As such, perhaps the man in question was avoiding the area altogether. A poster with a sketch of Naori's face was featured on the local police box's bulletin board. They'd gotten his features down fairly accurately, so anyone who spotted him would likely recognize him on sight. Furthermore, if these posters were distributed all over the nation, then that'd likely limit where Naori could hide. If there was something that Masuki knew painfully well, it was just how taxing it was to live while constantly on the run. However, Naori would likely have little difficulty overcoming those hurdles, knowing him. He wouldn't give up part way like me. I'd wager he'd keep running for as long as it...
まさきさん
Ah, Yukari! Masuki raised his head at the unexpected sound of his name. Yukari was curiously regarding him just a few steps away, wearing a coat over her school uniform.
ああ君か
And Yukari was a girl she'd introduced him to not too long ago, Chie Kuboi. However, she looked down in the dumps, though Masuki couldn't begin to guess why.
こんなところでどうかなさったのですか？
仕事だよ一応ね
Masuki didn't delve further. Likewise, Yukari didn't dig any deeper.
君たちは
ええ、ちえちゃんに会ったので少しお話をしていました。こんにちはです。
Chie bowed. Though curious about her lethargy, Masuki didn't bring it up. He figured it best not to say anything if neither she nor Yukari were going to address it.
それでは私はこれで失礼するのです。
Chie bowed again, her back to the station.
ええ、お気をつけて。はい。さようならです。
Chie waved and entered the station. Yukari sighed.
何かあったんだ
Masuki was concerned with her overt lassitude.
いえ、何でもありませんよ。まさきさん、今日は晩ご飯を食べていかれますか？
そうだねご商売に預かろうかな
I won't push if Yukari doesn't want to talk about it. Masuki took Yukari's grocery bags with that thought in mind as they made their way back to the Tokisaka residence side by side. Keep your hands off Yukari, Masuki. You stick to Huyumi. Alright, next day. Once again, Kichijoji Station. Let's see what we got. Sunset was settling over Kichijoji Station. The square was abloom with students on their way home. I doubt now would ever show his face around here after all these weeks. Still, Masuki leaned against the station and observed the crowds. It's been a month since Naori's last sighting, yet no new leads had turned up. Where in the world could he have gone with that baby? Ayame? Masuki looked up when he heard someone react to his presence.
佐藤さん
His rival? It was Ayame Sato, Yukari's underclassman.
こんなところで何をしているんですか？
ああちょっと仕事でね
仕事ですか？
Oh, work? Though she maintained a poker face, Masuki could have sworn he'd spotted a faint glimmer in her eye.
誰を探しているんですか？
随分と鋭いね
探偵助手ですから。
I am a detective's assistant. The self-proclaimed detective's assistant joined Masuki in leaning against the wall with those words.
先月の事件で逃げている犯人ですよね。学院に茅原先輩を迎えに来た。
時坂さんから聞いているのかい
Golly, golly? Masuki would be the kind of person to say golly.
名前や素性も新聞に載っていました。こんなところを探すより宗教施設を調べた方がいいのではありませんか？
典型会はすでになくなっているからなそれにそこいらはもう警察が調べているよ
それもそうですね。それにしてももう少し賑やかなところで張り込みをすべきではありませんか？
台場なんて埋め立て計画があるだけの海の真ん中だ
That would have been insane to hide out someplace like that. What was with that O just now? Everyone knows the area is simply called Daiba.
賑やかすぎる場所にはいないような気がするんだよ。
なぜですか？
ただの勘でしかないけれどね。人の多いところでそれに紛れて暮らすという考えはしないような気がするんだ。
That wasn't Naoto's character at all. No, he was more the type to live the quiet life of a hermit where you'd least expect to find a criminal. Masuki knew those were the sorts of places he should be searching, but none came to mind.
都内を探しても無駄なのかもしれませんね。
そうだね。
Couldn't have agreed more. Okay, nice little chat with Ayumu. We'll take it. Alright, 222. Back to the station. Kichijoji was packed with students. Okay, now it's just all students. First time we were here was this nice little time with Huyumi, right? But now it's just like, oh, now it's all students. Here's Yukari. Here's Ayumu. Let me guess, Yukari again. Don't be pushing it that direction. Game. Don't be pushing me that direction. Don't make this another thing where it's like a requirement for them to like have a thing with each other, right? For me to finish the game, like it was with Reiji and Toko, alright? Don't do that to me. Don't you be doing that now. Some of them wore the same uniform as Yukari. One of them was Yukari. Oh shit, Yukari. However, the girl herself wasn't among them. Oh. Not that Masuki was here for her anyway. Good. Rather, he'd come on the chance Naoto was amidst the crowd. Masuki himself was aware of exactly how unlikely he was to find the man within one random throng in a city of 15 million. Tell me it's Huyumi who shows up and she's like, hey, checking out them teenage girls, huh, lover boy? Still, it's better than nothing, no matter how inefficient it may have been.
あら、
Kyoko? Masuki turned to face the source of that familiar voice.
どうも、葉月さん。
Oh, we take Kyoko.
こんにちは。お仕事かしら？
ええ、ま
時坂君に押し付けられたの？
あ。いや、そういうわけじゃありませんよ。
Masuki quickly shook his head.
時坂君は張り込みみたいな地味な作業は嫌いだから。
Kyoko chuckled.
葉月さんは買い物ですか？
Masuki gestured toward the bag Kyoko was carrying.
ええ、お店が混み始める前にと思ってね。お仕事が終わったらお店にいらっしゃい。
Hell yeah.
はあ。では、後ほどお邪魔させていただきます。
Truth be told, he felt awkward going there without Reiji. He didn't know much about the exact nature of his boss's relationship with Kyoko, so just felt uncomfortable. Don't worry, bud. They don't know the exact nature of it either. Ultimately, he decided he'd stay on a lookout just a little longer before taking her up on that coffee and going back to the agency. And you're not even going to show me him going there for coffee? Lame. 223, baby. You know where we're going. Masuki took a train over to Kichijoji Station. There are very few students to be found in the vicinity, hardly a surprise on a Sunday, which was exactly why she stuck out like a sore thumb.
こんにちは、まさきさん。
Hell yes, dude. Now that she caught Masuki hanging around here, now she's just gonna be like, yeah, I'm just chilling. What's up? What's good? What's up? We're working. Like, no, no. We're working.
いや、佐藤さん。部活だったのかい？
You couldn't think of why else she'd be wearing a school uniform under her coat. She's trying to blend in, even when there's no students around.
ええ、もう引退はしているんですけれど。
ああ、そうか、卒業か。
はい。本当は就職したかったのですが、親に反対されてしまいました。
就職？
内定もいただけませんでしたし、時坂先生に。
ああ。
Of course, her parents wouldn't be on board with that, though I won't say it to her face.
まさか、まさきさんが反対されたわけではありませんよね。
Jealous?
いや、
Where'd I
自
take
分
your
は
job?
初耳だから。
そうでしたか。てっきりライバルになる私を蹴落とし
Like,
たのかと
we're
思いまし
rivals?
た。
Masuki would have never stooped to something so petty, naturally.
仕方ないのでもう少し勉学に励むことにしました。
そうなんだ。
Masuki couldn't think of nothing to do but nod.
探偵として役立つ知識をたくさん学んでから助手になることにします。
But you watch your ass, Buster, because I'm coming for that job.
頑張ってね。
How else am I supposed to respond? I love his interactions with Aibu. That's great. Okay, so this time, with 224, they switch it up. Yo, all this time we've been going Kichijoji, Kichijoji, Kichijoji. 224? We're into Shinjuku. Switching it up, new station. Matsuki strolled on over to Shinjuku Station. Wasn't like he had a destination in mind, though. Instead, he watched the cars zooming to and fro down Shinjuku Street, only for a familiar Volkswagen to suddenly pass him. Hey, boss. The car slowed to a stop moments later, followed by Reiji emerging from the driver's seat.
何をしてるんだこんなところで。
I'm, working, boss.
前に時坂さんが言ったんじゃないですか。
使っているようには見えないけど。
Reiji grinned.
進展はあったか
何もありませんよ。
だろうな。
だろうなって。
Reiji held out his hand just as Matsuki started pouting.
都内の中心部に奴が現れることはまずないだろう。少なくとも数年、ほとぼりが冷めるまではな。
だったら無駄じゃないですか。
探偵の仕事なんてのは大抵が無駄足だよ。だがな、相手がこちらの存在を知っている場合は牽制にもなる。
Reiji stuck a cigarette between his lips.
こちらから見つけられなくても、相手がこちらを見つければ追われていることを意識する。
これ以上犯罪を重ねないということで。
罪を犯す意味がないことを理解しているだろうな。逃亡者である以上、うかつなことをするというのはね。
Reiji lit his cigarette.
焦るなよ。まあ、俺も人のことを言えたきりじゃないが。
はあ。
Matsuki could do nothing but nod to that. Okay, nice little chat with the boss. We'll take it. Okay, so this is after the break-in at the museum. And, they stole the Exile of Paradise and broke the glass on Girl and Shell. Now before, I said it's because they had a grudge against Shinza Mamiya. Apparently the correct answer is because they have a grudge against the Girl in Shell.
檻の中の彼のように、この絵そのものに対する憎悪があるのかもしれません。
If that were the case, then that added one more acquaintance of Matsuki's to the suspect list, much as he didn't want to consider it.
レイジは大丈夫。トウコとミサが違うことくらい理解しているから。
そうですよね。
Though Matsuki didn't know Reiji's exact history with Girl and Shell, Stella's suggestion sounded reasonable to him.
あとはもちろん単なる愉快犯だというのもあり得るぞ。
Could have been. Have I seen this? Okay, now we're all caught up. Okay, and now I have to say that both were done by the same person.
同一犯と考えるのが普通ですよね。
Both crimes practically took place in the same location. Both were believed to have occurred around the same time. So if anything, the idea that they were unconnected crimes committed by separate individuals would be downright lunacy.
同一犯である。
Okay, fuck you too. Alright.
一見矛盾している行動にも。
Someone who would think they could possibly be two individual crimes must be an absolute idiot. Okay. Alright. No need to be so rude. God damn. One painting was vandalized while another was stolen. That'd be a good reason for a paradox like that.
持って帰っていたずら書きされたら困る。
You should be grateful just to ever get it back.
あと一つ気になっていることがある。
Toji suddenly chimed in with that. Okay, and this is where we're all caught up. Yep. Oh, wait. What'd she say? Do you think the theft of Exile of Paradise had anything to do with the recent string of homicides? And apparently it's irrelevant. I thought it had been relevant because I thought they stole it to use that as a reference, right? But they wouldn't need to because we now know that Sei has her like photographic memory, right? She has an insanely amazing photographic memory. So the theft of Exile of Paradise and the vandalism of Girl and Shell is likely someone not connected to the Sasakura and Sei counterfeit ring. Could be someone entirely different. Because that's the thing, even up until I got my game over screen last time, right? We still had no idea where Exile of Paradise was. Still had no clue. So actually, it does make sense that it's that in hindsight it would be irrelevant. Because now knowing what I know, it's like, yeah, it doesn't seem like they would need to steal it for any reason. So therefore, if it was committed by the same person, the theft and the vandalism, but then who did it? Because whoever did it then, I imagine, would have to be Rokushiki's accomplice, right? Someone who has this connection. Because it feels like something that Rokushiki himself would do. At least vandalizing Girl and Shell. So yeah, I guess it's irrelevant.
殺人が天罰の絵を元にしたのは間違いないでしょうが、今回の盗難はまた別件じゃないかと思います。
理由は？
犯人は今さらこんな危ない橋を渡る必要がないと思います。何らかの方法で事件と絵に関連があると知った人の犯行だと思います。
さらに絵の価値が高まると踏んだか。だとすると、
そういう短絡的な犯行だといいんですが。
Interesting. The officer who had escorted Masuki and Toji earlier suddenly approached, interrupting their
失
conversation.
礼。職員の方にもう一度お話が聞きたいとのことです。
I just love this interaction. Who's the curator? That's
間
you.
違いなく。
Okay.
それじゃ
Stella, you're great. Okay, okay. That does get that, because, yeah. Honestly, I'd kind of forgotten about the theft of Exile of Paradise once we started getting information coming out about, say, her connection to Sasakura, Chie killing Sasakura, and then Rokushiki getting out. The theft of Exile of Paradise kind of left my mind, but yeah, now revisiting, it's like, yeah, no, okay. Someone with a grudge specifically against Girl and Shell, who also stole Exile of Paradise, but isn't connected to the body remodeling. Interesting. Interesting. Like I said, I imagine whoever it is then has some connection to Rokushiki. But then the question becomes, who? Right? Who did it? Interesting. Interesting. Alright, 227. We're hitting the streets once more. And it's back to Kichijoji Station, baby. Who are we meeting today? Masuki returned to Kichijoji. Can't help but suspect Mr. Sasakura after everything Tokusaka told me. Perhaps he's out on another one of those mysterious excursions at the moment. If so, there's a chance we'll cross paths at some point as long as I keep watch over the station. It was with that plan in mind that Masuki took a seat at a bench facing the station. He stared out into the crowds for a while until eventually noticing a familiar face.
こんにちは、まさきさん。
Ah, my rival.
おう、佐藤さんか。
私では何か不満ですか？
Aima took a seat next to Masuki as she regarded him with a raised eyebrow.
そうではないけれど。部活だったのかい？
いえ、まさか。あさってが卒業式ですから。
ああ、もうそんな季節だったか。
卒業しても次に通うのも同じ場所ですから。
Aima heaved a quiet sigh.
安心しましたか？
え？何が？
しばらくは時坂先生の助手の座は安泰のようですから。
別にそのあたりは心配していないよ。
大した自信ですね。
It was entirely possible that Reiji would eventually deem him useless and fire him, but if so, Masuki was sure it would be on his own merits, or lack thereof.
ここで何をしているんですか？
Aima abruptly changed the subject.
特に何かしてるというわけではないけど。
He was only sitting around on a hunch that he'd eventually spot Sasakura, so he wasn't actually lying from a certain point of view.
張り込みですか？
だとしたらこんな目立つところにいやしないよ。
Though that said, he had no reason to hide from Sasakura, not for the time being anyway.
アンパンと牛乳を買ってきますか？
いや、別に腹は空いていないから。
Trying to butter up your rival, huh? Interesting play, Sato. Let's see how it plays out. 228, baby. You know what that means. Back to Kichijoji. Masuki dropped by Kichijoji. There, he meandered around the station square while scanning his surroundings for Sasakura. If possible, he was hoping that his former employer didn't turn out to be the culprit. And deep down, he wasn't actually expecting to see him. With all that said, he had no idea what he would do if he actually did turn up some kind of evidence against the man. Part of Mosky didn't feel like he had the right to be accusing others when he himself was a murderer.
あらまさきくん
Kyoko! Suddenly a passerby called his name.
葉月さん
The owner of Moonworld was right there, out shopping, if the bags she was handling were any indicator.
今日もお仕事
仕事のようなそうじゃないよ
じゃあお散歩かし
Kyoko smiled.
散歩というわけ
ら冗談よ
Kyoko quickly flashed him a reassuring grin.
お店に来るコーヒーごちそうするわよ
Hell yeah!
いえもう少しこの
You
辺りに
son
い
of
ま
a
すから
bitch. You take her up on that offer. If nothing else, he wanted to at least keep an eye on the area until sundown.
そうそれじゃあ後でいらっしゃい
Coward.
ええ後ほどお邪魔させていただきます
Kyoko nodded, then departed for the shopping district. Alright, back to work. Mosky snapped his attention toward the crowds, all the while praying nothing actually happened. You coward! Get to Moonworld right now, on the double. Stat. ASAP. Okay, so this is after the death of Sasakura, right? We find the body, we investigate whatnot. Now, before I said the murder had nothing to do with the painting, right? With the theft of Exile of Paradise. Yaganuma said it was inconsequential to the murder. And at the time I agreed. Apparently the correct answer is that it is relevant.
関係があると言いたいところだな。地下からあんなのも見つかっていることだし。
間宮心臓の贋作ですか。確かにこれだけ重なれば関係がないとは言い切れませんね。
ただ地下から天罰が見つかっていないことも気になる。発見から贋作を作るのに時間がなかったからかもしれんが。
絵がないからこそ天罰に描かれていた天使の死体を作ろうとした。
Damn, okay. So we're back at 312, right? This is after Rokushiki escapes, right? And we're supposed to pick a spot to go to, right? So of course, the two places I've been to, the art museum and the Kijiki residence, were both the wrong places. From what I see, they're not what directly led to me getting a bad ending, but... Or maybe it is. Because I'm supposed to go here. Apparently if I don't go here, it's directly led to a bad end because I don't get one of the choices. If I'm reading this guy. No, that's a different choice altogether. Never mind. But yeah, the suggested place is the one place I didn't go to, which is the Kijiki Hospital. But of course, I should have thought to go there. Now I'm thinking how stupid I was to not consider going there, to not giving it a chance, right? Because we deduced it later, but we deduced that, come on brain, that that Saito, right, Rokushiki, had an inside source to the hospital. So I should have thought to go to the hospital. Like, if I had, like, obviously we don't deduce that he has a source in the hospital until after this day, but still, if I have a suspicion he's got an inside man at the hospital, you know, coming back around, I should think to check the hospital, right? It makes more sense in hindsight.
確かにここは六式ゆかりの場所だな。
Ozumi got out of the driver's seat and looked up the hospital.
当然警官は張り込ませているんだろうな。
当然だ。とはいえ、ここには現れねえと思うがな。
まあな。そんな単純なやつじゃないさ。
If anyone would have taken the fact that the police would be waiting here for him into account, it'd be
とは
him.
いえ、配備前に来ている可能性だってある。注意を促すためにも伝えておくのは悪くないさ。
明日の朝刊の紙面には載るだろうが、一応観光令が敷かれているからな。直接話を聞く相手以外には話すなよ。
そのくらい分かってるさ。
I was aware the police wanted to keep their blunder a secret from the public. It was kind of tricky to conduct a manhunt if the public didn't know there was even someone on the run.
あら時坂さんどうかなさいましたか
Kawada addressed me as soon as I stepped inside.
どうも山内先生。朽木委員長はいらっしゃいますか。
Oh my god. Oh my god. I just realized what Kaede told us, right? She's like, you're looking somewhere. Perhaps you're looking to where all the places that seem obvious, but you're not looking in the most obvious place, right? When they said trying to figure out what like Roshiki's like hideout was, right? And I am kind of looking ahead a bit in the guide, but like it makes sense. It's something that's going to come up here in the hospital. So I guess I'll but it's like, fuck. God damn it. Whatever. I'll talk about it when we get to the actual choice, but
ええ、材質かと思いますが。
Kato glanced at Ozumi. Wait, who are we looking for? The director. Okay, yeah, the director.
警察の方でしたよね。何かあったのでしょうか。
後ほど説明します。
Ozumi's response was curt and to the point.
わかりました。ではこちらへどうぞ。
Ozumi and I followed Kahato to the director's office with nods.
失礼します。
We entered the office to find Fumiya alone at his desk.
ああ、どうも。
What's up, you fuck? Fumiya bowed to
お
us.
忙しそうですね。
そうですね。書類が少し溜まっていまして。
そのままでよろしいので聞いていただけますか。
ええ。何か。
六式誠が脱走した。
六式。斉藤先生ですか。
現在行方を追っているが、関わりのあったこちらに現れることも考えられるので、見かけたらすぐに通報してほしい。
奴の潜伏先がまだわからないので、よろしくお願いします。
Yeah, bud. Any help you could give us? Ozumi and I left the office.
この後はどうする？
そうだな。
Where else would Rokushiki think to go?
おや、何かあったのか。
Kaede. What's good? Wait, that voice. There's Kane. Alright, it is a Wednesday now that I think about it.
どうも、綿貫先生。
刑事を連れて来院とは物々しいね。
Kaede raised an eyebrow after scanning Ozumi.
わかるのか？
彼女は精神科医だよ。
I whispered that into a surprised Ozumi's ear.
なるほど。
また心理学者と精神科医を混同しているようだね。
Yeah, insult me. Kaede shrugged and sighed. Can't help but be reminded of Rokushiki when I saw those overdramatic gestures. See, they set it up to be too obvious. They set it up to be too obvious. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I have looked ahead in the guide, and I think my big decision... Okay, actually, the decision that screwed me over, that led me to the bad ending I got, is not this, but I did select the wrong person when I chose who Rokushiki's inside source is. I was right about there being an inside source. Alright, let me just say that right now. That's not what screwed me over. I selected the wrong inside source. So Kaede is actually still on the green list. Maybe I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but alright, you know, just throwing that out there. But yeah, no, see, that's the thing. I felt like Kaede was too obvious. I feel like she has to... I still feel like she has to have a deeper involvement other than just being this person who pops in every now and again and be like, idiots. Just to be this person who pops in every now and again just to like drop little hints, right? She's just here to like give us hints. Make little meta comments, right? Like when Masuki goes in there's like, what if someone was making your decisions for you, bud? Maybe that is just her whole play. They want to make her seem suspicious when her whole play is just to be there and be like, here's a little hint. Run with that, huh? See where it gets you. Oh, does it make you seem suspicious that, you know, I like to knock on the fourth wall a bit? Huh? Make you a little suspicious? Huh? Well, you fucked yourself over with that suspicion, huh? I'm just trying to help. Alright, click back again.
ではなぜ自分が刑事だと思ったのですか？
Ozumi respectfully flashed his police badge as he asked that question.
何？単純なことさ。先日所用で警視庁へ赴いた時に魚住君
Get fucked, dude. Kaede chuckled.
守秘義務があるのだろうし何が起こっているのかは聞かないことにするよ
I love you.
そうしていただけると助かります。
Ozumi bowed his head with a scowl.
たく、精神科医ってのはどいつもああなのかよ。
What, sexy? No, I don't think so. Ozumi growled under his breath the moment we stepped out of the hospital.
全員がそうだというわけじゃないさ。
Right?
とにかく、今は六式だ。
What you
わか
do?
った。じゃあそこへ向かおう。
Interesting. Oh no, I was wrong. I'm reading this guide back. Apparently, so if you click no here, right, and say, so this is when Ozumi asks if you, or if Reiji's sitting here thinking, does he have an accomplice? Apparently, if you hit no, it's an immediate bad end. However, if you also guess the wrong person, it'll still lead to the same bad ending. Okay. So if I hit no here and say Orochi doesn't have an accomplice, this will lead to the same game over screen I got last time, right? But if I hit yes and select the wrong person, then it'll also lead to the bad ending I got. Okay. And honestly, after seeing that bad end, I guess the right choice makes a bit of sense, but, you know, yeah, he has an accomplice. And I selected the right pieces of evidence. Number 49. Number 50. Yeah, I did everything right. I did everything right up until selecting his accomplice because I wrote him off. Because I didn't think it was possible. It's crazy. Because I looked at Chizuru and I said Chizuru loved her, or no, Chizuru didn't love her daughter. So she could potentially have a connection to Rokushiki, right? But I completely wrote off her brother. Now, after that, now see, when we saw that game over, right? When we saw that bad ending, I sat there and wondered, I'm like, wait, what was Fumiya's sin? What was Fumiya's sin? What did he do? Because I like, if you're not here to judge him for anything in connection to Chizuru, in connection to the, you know, incest stuff, what did he do? But then he said, if he called the police, they would realize his sin, what he had done. So the correct answer is Fumiya. Which honestly, without seeing the bad ending, I would not have figured that out. I'm gonna be straight up. Like, now obviously, if the director's walking around, it's very clear that, you know, he could get, like, I made all these choices like, oh, Kaede walking around, she's staff. You know, they're not gonna ask too many questions. Even Chizuru, she's connected to the director. They won't ask too many questions. But obviously, the director himself, no one's gonna question the fucking director. The director's in the main office. Well, yeah, he's the director. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. He's the director. Honestly, I'm excited to see. I don't know about excited, but I am very curious how that came to be. I am very curious to see how that came to be. Because just from where I'm at now, I don't understand. Just from the point I'm at now, I don't quite understand how he became the accomplice. Because it makes sense, right? He had access to the clinic. But Chizuru was surprised to find him there. So clearly he must have had a way to get into the clinic. It would have been through Fumiya. But why? But why? He had been looking very haggard, right? He had been looking very exhausted, right? Interesting. Can I pull up my I can pull up my notes and look at them differently here. Okay. Right, everything's gonna say new because it's technically a whole new playthrough I started, so it's gonna say that, but I'm just curious. The driver never got out. They had proper Kuchiki documents. Someone who wears gloves, right? We know that Fumiya just wears gloves regularly because he fucked up his main hand. Oh, it's so interesting. But why? He knows what Rokushiki did. Why would he help him? Did Rokushiki like blackmail him or threaten him? With her? Saying he'd do something if he didn't help him? I don't understand. I just don't understand. How's Fumiya the right answer? Like, obviously the game will eventually, explain it to me. But I'm just trying to understand, for someone who came here without a guide, right? How would you come to that conclusion? Is it just simply because, oh, documents from the main office, only Fumiya could got it, so you would have just clicked Fumiya? I'm trying to, like, make the mental connection there. Like, what's the motive? I'm trying to decide the motive. I'm trying to piece together, and my brain just doesn't put it together. What motive would he have for doing that? What motive could he possibly have for helping Rokushiki? Like, how am I, the player, supposed to believe that Fumiya did it? Like, yes, he got the papers from the hospital, but honestly, I'd be more likely to believe he snuck into the hospital before I believe that Fumiya would help him. Like I said, in hindsight with the bad ending, I'm more likely to believe it, right? I'm more likely to believe that he had a hand in it. But even with the knowledge of the bad ending and knowing they did have a hand in it, I just struggle to see the why. I struggle. It's the right answer, and it's gonna lock me into the correct route, into the goodest ending. No, into the right ending. But why?
まあ、確証がないってのなら仕方ねえか。
Yeah, and Ozmi's like, you fucking idiot. Of course it's not gonna be. What? Are you an idiot? Of course it's not gonna be Fumiya. Nothing solid? Why would you pick Fumiya? Ozmi sighed.
さらに調べるしかないな。
Ozmi got out of his chair.
朽木病院に監視をつける。いつ奴が接触してくるかわからんからな。
ああ、そっちは任せた。
And that's all the same. Okay, but this is where things immediately change. Guess we're just gonna have to wait a bit, and then that's when the bad ending happens. Normally last time that's when it cut to red, and then the death of Chizuru and subsequently Fumiya. So I guess things change immediately. Took a drag on a cig while sitting atop CID Section 1's visitor's couch with a report in hand.
司法解剖の最終報告できましたえ
Natsume strolled back in with some papers.
何か新事実は出てきましたか？
あまり変わりまへんな。お腹の傷に生活反応がわずかに見られたことくらいですやろか。
生きたまま切ったのですか？
エリコ班の状態からすれば昏睡状態に加えて血圧もだいぶ下がってたみたいですから。
At least that's a silver lining.
それと切断には手術用のメスが使われとります。縫合もちゃんとした糸のようですし。
該当するような場所はありますか？
つい最近閉鎖されたような病院でしたらまだ道具が残っていたりするかもしれまへんけど、あいにく思い当たるとこはありまへんな。
I guess that's how you could make the connection then. Because Masaki and Toji were out looking for abandoned hospitals. We knew that. I guess that's how your brain could make the connection. They said clearly he would have had to it would have been done like somewhere where he had access to like the tools and whatnot. But still, my brain would not immediately then think, oh, well, Fumiya's clinic has gone abandoned for a while. But yeah, no, that does make sense.
まだ運営されている病院に侵入して。
さすがに六式班でもそれは無理ですやろ。
Meaning it has to be an abandoned hospital. Picked a newspaper off the table. There's a small article in the local news section titled "Female Corpse Discovered in Canal."
さすがに早いですな。
ここの目の前ですからね。
その責任者の管理官様も。
まったく、めんどくせえったらありゃしね
え。Ozumi came back right then.
何かあったのか？
ああ、六式の行方について情報提供者が現れた。あろうこと。
So Fumiya's got info for us? Guess I shouldn't be all that surprised. If anyone would know a thing or two about Rokushiki, it'd be him. Still, though.
俺も会っていいか。
だから呼びに来た。今、取調室に入れている。
わかった。
I got up and followed Ozumi.